Did the Honourable Supreme Court ever ban the feeding of stray dogs in India? In March 2022, there was widespread panic and confusion among stray dog feeders and caregivers about an interim stay order by the Supreme Court of India. Now, the stay addressed a ruling by the Delhi High Court on the care or guidelines for care for stray and community dogs, and unfortunately, several people misunderstood this order by the Supreme Court as a ban on the feeding of stray dogs altogether. But on 19 May 2022, the Supreme Court vacated this stay order and we celebrated. We celebrated because there was no longer a ban on the feeding of stray dogs in India. But wait, was there ever such a ban? The short answer, no. And if you want to know why, we leave a link to that at the end of this video. But we should celebrate because by vacating the stay order, the ruling from the Delhi High Court on community dogs from 2021 is now under full effect in the National Capital Territory. Let's talk about it. For background, we need to look at the Delhi High Court case Dr. Maya D. Chablani versus Radha Mithil and others including the AWBI or the Animal Welfare Board of India as well. Now, the case involved a dispute over the feeding location of the stray dogs in their area. While this issue was amicably resolved in 2021, the case sparked an opportunity for the AWBI and the amicus curiae of the case to urge the Delhi High Court to lay down guidelines for the feeding of stray dogs. This also led to a broader discussion on overall care on dogs as well. We would definitely recommend all of you reading this document, but here are some of our favorite points from the ruling. The Constitution of India protects and preserves animal rights under Article 21, 48A, 51AG, 51AH, 243W and Article 246. This is in addition to the 5 fundamental freedoms read into the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act by the Supreme Court in a case titled the Animal Welfare Board of India, AWBI, versus A. Nagaraja and others. Protection of animals is a moral responsibility of every citizen, including governmental and non-governmental organizations. It was in fact discussed that cruelty causes animals psychological pain, that we need to respect and appreciate that they breathe the same as us, that they have emotions the same as us. And maybe a favorite point of all, that even government officials aren't excused from acts of cruelty towards animals. In fact, any official caught violating the rights of an animal via cruelty would be subject to punishment under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, the PCA Act, and the Central Civil Services conduct rules as well, for conduct unbecoming of a government official. So if you ever find yourself being harassed by even a government official, please do not hesitate to report it to the police and the AWBI. Another aspect to celebrate about from this case was the conclusion on collective responsibility towards animals, without just pushing the entire burden of responsibility towards community dog feeders and caregivers. The Delhi High Court mentioned that it would be the responsibility of the Resident Welfare Association, the RWA, the municipal corporation and government authorities, including enforcement authorities like the police, especially the jurisdictional SHO, to ensure that there is no harassment to community dog feeders and caregivers. It would be their collective responsibility to maintain peace and harmony between the residents and the caregivers. In fact, the RWA or the municipal corporation, in the absence of an RWA, would be required to provide food and water to community dogs or stray dogs in the absence of caregivers in their area. Additionally, the Delhi High Court directed the AWBI to ensure every RWA or municipal corporation in the absence of an RWA to set up an animal welfare committee to tend to basic needs such as food and shelter, essential care such as vaccinations and sterilizations, and even urgent medical care for community dogs. The AWBI had also been asked to run awareness campaigns via social media and in association with newspapers, television and radio stations as well. We need to celebrate the Supreme Court vacating the stay order on the Delhi High Court ruling, yes, but it was never about a ban on feeding stray animals. That was never an issue to begin with. What we do need to celebrate was the many things discussed and achieved through the many deliberations in this case. It shows that we are moving forward in the right direction as a country. We are taking the right steps to overcome speciesism as well. In fact, on the 25th of May 2022, the Delhi High Court directed the Delhi government and the municipal corporation to submit a plan on better care for community dogs. The plan would need to include vaccinations for deadly viruses like canine distemper and canine parvovirus, address the lack of sufficient animal care ambulances and helplines in the city, and more. We're keeping a close eye on this case, and we hope that we are able to give you a positive update about this in the future. The law protects us and our animals, and we need to respect this protection by being responsible. We need to make sure that when we are feeding our stray dogs, we do so hygienically. We need to make sure that they are vaccinated and sterilized. We need to do this together. Do note that with this being a Delhi High Court ruling, the points we have discussed in this video are only applicable to the National Capital Territory of Delhi. We can only hope that this becomes a countrywide ruling in the future. Baby steps. That's all for now. My name is Nishant. This is a Paw 5. I'll catch you in the next one.